All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program, Johnny Cuba. Go pick up a six-pack of Johnny Cuba, your local Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. That's how you're going to enjoy the game tonight. You know that's how we're going to do it here in the ZASLOW Mansion. Always drink responsibly, and of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. George Richards, Florida Hockey Now. Nobody covers the Panthers better than George does. George, I'm very nervous about tonight. It's a lot of fun, though. The Panthers still a great opportunity. Look, they're up 3-2. However you got here, you got a chance to close out this series tonight. I'm very excited. They're in a good spot, right?
You sound excited. You sound nervous. Dude, it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. 7 o'clock kickoff. We're going to be all right. We're going to walk you through it. Panthers got the 3-2 lead. Yeah, listen, I mean, this is turned into a series now, right? The Panthers had the opportunity to knock these guys out Tuesday night in Game 5, did not do so. So they have to go back to Boston. They seem to be okay with it. The fire alarms are going off at their hotel for their afternoon.
I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Hey, at least it didn't happen last night at 3 a.m. Hey, you know what? They got equipment guys there that make really good Cuban coffee. They'll be fine. Don't worry about them. They'll be okay.
George, what happened in the first period of Game 5? You know, we were 5 minutes into the game. I turned to my son. I go, "We're sleepwalking here."
Yeah.
Like, what happened the start of Game 5?
Well, I don't know that the Panthers were necessarily sleepwalking, but Boston brought brought every bit of desperation, and they should have. I mean, the Bruins were down 3-1. They're playing for their season. You expect the same out of Boston tonight. As we've talked about in the past, you can't fake desperation. The Panthers were not desperate. Boston was. And you saw it, and perhaps, losing and having to go back to Boston, it was a little kick in the pants for the Panthers. And the difference in that game, really, it wasn't the first period because it was only 1-0. Florida was being outshot 12-4, I think, something like that. But the Panthers had the 2 scoring chances in that game, the true scoring chances. That was all Jeremy Swayman. The Panthers got goalied in Game 5. The Panthers got to find a way to beat that goalie in Boston. They've beaten him before. They've let him up. They've let him up for 6 goals in each of the 2 games, the 2 at Games 2 and 3. So they'll be okay. But yes, I mean, they need to come out with a better start, and we expect them to do so tonight.
Now, Marchand is a game time decision. He's playing tonight, right? Like, that's what that means, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. They had him out there working with the top power play unit and all that stuff. If he wasn't playing, or if they thought he wasn't playing, they'd have a placeholder in there, because you want to get that stuff right as you're working through it in practice. You don't, if a guy's not playing, he's not going to be there. He was there. He's going to play. And his mom's, got caught at the team shop, by, I don't know, Channel 11, Boston. I don't know. And she says that he's going to play. So if Mom says it, I'm going with it.
Cousins and Lomberg are back in the series. Lomberg will make his series debut. So you got Cousins and Lomberg on that 4th line next to Kevin Stenlin. What do you make of the timing there? How much of a difference does that make tonight?
Listen, I think Paul Maurice has wanted to get those guys back into this lineup, as soon as he could. But just the way that 4th line had been playing with Stephen Lawrence, Kyle Oposo, they've been playing terrific. That 4th line was playing terrific, but I didn't really notice them a whole lot in Game 5. And I think this is the opportunity for Paul Maurice to, excuse me, a little head cold here. This is the opportunity for Paul Maurice to get those guys back in. He said, hey, he hated taking Nick Cousins out of the lineup when Sam Bennett came back, but somebody had to come out. And Cousins is probably the most popular guy on that team. Probably a close second to Ryan Lomberg. So, getting both of those guys is a big lift emotionally, and they're going to bring a lot of speed. They're going to have the legs, and it'll be a different look for the Florida 4th line tonight. No doubt about that.
And those are guys who mix it up. So, like, they're ripe for a series like this.
Yeah, if Brad Marchand wants to go at Sam Bennett or something, that'll probably be Ryan Lomberg jumping in. Who knows? I mean, but listen, both teams need to win. So, I mean, a lot of the goofy stuff that we saw earlier in this series disappeared in Game 5. That's the other thing that Boston did. They concentrated on winning the game. Enough of the nonsense. They played a serious game, and you saw what happened. If this thing is a four-goal game or something, maybe it gets out of hand again. But I expect both teams, at least as long as it's close, it's going to be close.
I thought that was the major difference in Game 5 because what I was seeing, Games 3 and 4, the Bruins were a team, all they cared about was revenge, fighting the Panthers, hitting the Panthers, while the Panthers in those games look like a team who only cares about winning the Stanley Cup. And in Game 5, the Bruins look like a team that was out there trying to win a hockey game.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we saw that last year when the Boston Bruins and Florida Panthers played in the first round. The first 3-4 games, it was nothing but hits and fights and da-da-da-da. 5, 6, and 7 were very good hockey games, very close hockey games. And a lot of the nonsense disappeared in those 3 games as both teams were trying. Boston to knock the Panthers out, Florida to stay alive, and eventually in Game 7 to move on.
What do you make of Tkachuk's performance so far this series? Do we need more from him?
Yeah, I think so. I think you need a lot. You need more from that third line. I think you've seen Sam Bennett was obviously the hero of Game 4, or whatever game it was. Game 4 after the Marchand hit. You could use a lot more from that line. But they're doing a lot of good things. I didn't like that line in Game 5. I just didn't think that they had it going on, but I'm sure that, listen, the Panthers go through that video with a fine-tooth comb, and they all watch it in meetings. So this is no secret to them. Those guys saw it 18 different directions how they played in Game 5. I think you'll see a different second line from Florida tonight as far as the way that they play.
How much of a difference does the home ice advantage make coming from the standpoint of last change?
Well, it does. And I think you see that, a lot of times because, you get the matchups. If you're the home team, you get the matchups that you want, with that last change, as you talk about. But it hasn't mattered. You look around the NHL, the New York Rangers last night won in Carolina. The Florida Panthers have won the last 5 playoff games in Boston. The Panthers took a 2-0 lead in Toronto last year. So, listen, home ice advantage used to really mean something in the National Hockey League, and it just doesn't seem to be that way anymore. More and more you see the road teams pulling off wins. It might be 500 or, something to that effect. So, the Panthers feel very comfortable playing in Boston. Very few teams do. That's a tough place to play. That used to be a place that the Panthers never, ever, ever won. The Panthers went to Boston year after year after year and got their lunch handed to them. And they've been very good there the last 5, 6, 7 years.
What have you made of the officiating? I know the Bruins fan, it's been nonstop complaining, this entire series. What have you made about the officiating?
Yeah, I think it's been okay. I mean, I think that they were, I think they got both of the goalie interference calls wrong. I think Sam Bennett's goal should have come off the board, and I think the other in Game 5 in Sunrise should have come off the board. Those were both, as far as I can tell, goalie interference. But then again, who knows what goalie interference is? That's the new flip the coin call in the NHL. Nobody knows what. It's like in Ted Lasso, it's offsides. You'll know it when you see it. Will you? I don't know. I don't get it, and that's kind of how goalie interference is. I think the officiating's been fine. It hasn't been a difference in this series. There's been a couple calls go against both teams. It all evens out in the wash. I mean, it is what it is.
Low scoring game tonight?
I'm thinking it might be a little bit of a high scoring game. I think that the Panthers are going to come out and they're going to shoot a lot of pucks. We'll see. I mean, the Boston got the most pucks going in the first period and really didn't do a whole lot in the second and third in Game 5 on Tuesday night. So Florida's been doing a real good job suppressing Boston and keeping Sergei Bobrovsky from having to do too much. And that's good and bad because a lot of times Bob's gone 10, 12 minutes of game time without seeing any kind of action. that's tough on a goaltender. It really is. We'll see what happens tonight, but I think you know that the over under is what, 5.5 locally. I'd take the over on that.
Would it surprise you if the Panthers come out slow again like Game 5?
It would surprise me because I think that they've had a couple days off. Again, they played pretty well in the second and third periods of Game 5. They just couldn't get anything past Swayman. They don't want to be in Boston as much as they like being on the road. They would have liked to have had these days off because Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals was not going to start until Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever it was. You would have had almost a week off or a full week off maybe between and here they are playing. But listen, Paul Maurice yesterday said something very interesting that, he's very philosophical. And as you listened to his post-game conferences, he's talking about teams have to go through journeys. And he talked about this last year when you were like, oh, well, you're down 3-1. Well, now we're going to find out how we react to down 3-1. Well, now, you got a chance to eliminate. And what we're going to find out how we play when we get the chance to knock somebody out. So he's like, hey, now we know we had a chance to knock out Boston, didn't do it. How do we react? I want to see that. Maybe that's something that we as a team have to go through for next round or for whenever. So, hey, he's just figuring it's all according to plan. It is what it is. And, they'll move on down the road.
And the Panthers' 2 previous losses this postseason, they've come back the next game in very big ways.
They've done that a lot. Yeah, right. Yeah. Even in the regular
Game 5,
season.
6-1 against Tampa. Game 2 this round, 6-1 against Boston. So you feel like they're going to get a good effort tonight.
Oh, for sure. The effort's going to be there. The Panthers are going to bring it. Listen, yes, were they slow? Were they a little sluggish on Tuesday night? Absolutely they were. But a lot of that was predicated by how Boston played. And again, they have all the desperation in the world. Now, listen, they're at home. There's a lot of pressure on Boston. Game 3, they got booed off the ice after the first and second period. If they have a rough one here and then the Boston fans turn on them again, I don't know. We'll see. But the Panthers, they're just, hey, they're on the road. They're getting woken up out of their naps by the, Joe Boston over there, pulling a fire alarm. We'll see what happens.
George, tell everybody how they can continue to follow all your Stanley Cup playoff coverage.
Yeah, check us out, FloridaHockeyNow.com. Follow me on Twitter at George Richards. We've got the Florida Hockey Now YouTube channel that's very popular with the kids. So, yeah, check us out. We'll be at Florida Hockey Now all through this whole thing. And even, we got a Panther story a day during the offseason. But hopefully for the Panthers, that's a long, long way away.
Awesome. Thank you, George. Appreciate you stopping by. Enjoy the game tonight.
All right, Zaz. Be good, brother.